Hello. How are you doing?
I love it.
We had to start off big, on a Friday. Hello.
Hi.
Happy Friday.
Hi, Robert.
Coming at you live here at Inside Production Studios here in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Robert Morales from Our CEO Network. Good people, better business, discovering the best in you, Our CEO Network. For the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be talking to a very special guest about her business, a little about life, and this credit stuff. And then shortly after, we're going to be followed up by a question and answer session. It may go about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit shorter, depending on what we talk about. All that good stuff. If you're watching us live, hit that heart emoji because we love, the love. And if you're watching us on the replay, hit that wow emoji because, wow, I can't believe you're not watching us live. I just noticed that there's a new care emoji. So if you want to hit the little care one, that's awesome too. It's a little emoji hugging a heart. That's awesome. So if you'd like to follow us here on Our CEO Network, at Our CEO Network Facebook, we also have a couple other places to check us out on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and you can follow us on, our website at ourceonetwork.com. So today, she is the former manager, former talent executive of HBO U.S. Comedy Arts Festival. She's the former segment producer of Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher, licensed mortgage professional at Cherry Creek Mortgage, founder of Claxxy Women's Group, and the reason why we're here, founder and author of Color My Credit. Please welcome Miss Alisa Glutz. The thing that's been absent the last couple of
events. You have sound effects? Oh, this is
so I had to. I need more clapping. So, hello, Miss Glutz.
Hi, Robert.
I always got a lot on my mind and a lot of the things I got to go over. So, how are you doing?
Good, as long as my dogs don't bark. Good. Look at us. How's your summer? You ready for the holidays?
No, there's no holidays.
No holidays.
Just 4th of July, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's getting hot already.
I know. We're going to be complaining like, I should have been okay a month ago. And now I can't even go outside. I should have gone outside. But no matter what, every day is a new adjustment. Right?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
So it's getting hot, but we are here to talk about credits, not about the weather, Miss Glutz. So tell me a little bit about Color My Credit. What is Color My Credit stuff all about?
So Color My Credit, I just happen to have my book right here. I wrote this book. It's very different. It's not credit repair. It's a different perspective than probably anything you are familiar with as far as credit services. I've been a mortgage lender for 17, 18 years. I've seen thousands of credit reports. I have studied it. For some reason, it's a very interesting subject for me, not to anyone else in the human world, but it is to me. So I have obsessed over it quite a bit. Thankful. I've obsessed enough over it to find, specific things throughout that I know make a huge impact on somebody being able to move forward and improve their credit score quickly and be able to qualify for everything. Since about 2012 is when the credit score just became such a bigger deal than you just paying your bills on time. There was more of a system that came about that if you follow it, then you have a really great ability to get to the 800 club. So it was more about the fact that the stuff that was available after the crash was a lot of fix and repair and dispute and delete. And I knew that we had to start over, that we can't really rebuild again without having some accounts reporting on your credit that are reporting the right way. You can't take collections and charge-offs and closed accounts and pay them and make your credit better. You can fix your past, but that can't sometimes fix your future. So you have to have the right accounts reporting. And so what I teach is credit education and empowerment, and showing people just a little bit of guidance, little nudge on how to get on the road and how to improve your credit score in the fastest amount of time based on what you have to work with.
So maybe we take a step back too, just so that people understand completely, what is a credit score? I guess to kind of start off there, and why do people need it?
Right. So credit score is just like a number, and you have probably at any given day, we could have 50 different versions of credit scores out there. If
Yeah.
you went to myfico.com, if you want to do some interesting activity and spend $60 on yourself, you can go to myfico.com and buy 28 of your credit scores. So you can see 28 of your credit scores at this moment, what a car lender would see, what a mortgage company would see, but it's a number that's usually between like a 350 to 850 range. The problem is that FICO was the industry standard always until around 2006.
Yeah.
And so FICO, it used to be very easy to kind of, the big thing with FICO is just paying your bills on time. And we really didn't access scores. We could see the credit reports for the first time in 2003, but we didn't really get free scores then. And then 2006, the three bureaus came out with Vantage Score, and this was to compete with FICO. And so basically the thing is that you have these three credit bureaus in the country that are, they're public companies. They're Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax that collect information on you. Yeah. They collect from creditors who report on a monthly basis. Did they pay their bill on time? Okay, good. How much was on the credit cards? What was the balance? What was the limit? So a little details. They're reporting information. The three credit bureaus are collecting it. And then like if I wanted to get, see if you could apply, see if you could be approved for a mortgage, and I needed to pull your credit scores, I would call the credit bureaus and say, I need a FICO version 02, like the oldest version of FICO. And I would call all three of the bureaus and I would get that FICO score. If I wanted a Vantage score, then I'd call the bureaus and request that one. But the thing to remember is you've got like 50 different credit scores out there. We're seeing credit scores all the time. Banks are always giving us, and we're always like, is this accurate? Which one should I follow? And the key is that you just need to open your eyes and look in the details and see, which credit bureau is this? And what model are they using? And what version are they using? Because that information, that score, these days determines the interest rate you're going to pay on a car, a home, whether you can rent a home, whether you can get government clearance, home insurance, car insurance. It goes all the way down your budget. So it's important.
I guess that was the only question. One of the questions I had. Credit score, in my experiences, have always just been, cars and homes. And there really hasn't. I haven't seen it really anywhere else. And you talked about insurance. So all those other areas, where could we see the most significant impact when I guess needing to improve our score? Where do we need to improve our score to get better? You said better rates, but are there other areas?
Yeah, well, I had a guy write me last week who said, you told me exactly the tweak I needed to do on my score, and it saved me $250 on my electricity. They didn't request a deposit, the $250 deposit, because my credit score just was right over the threshold. So thanks for saving me $250. I mean, that's just a deposit you have to put there, but it could be government clearance. I've had people that have been trying to get government clearance and they have something in the past. I had a commercial realtor this morning call me about some SBA clients that are trying to get do some personal loans and don't have the credit score. Everybody from short sale litigation. I mean, it's pretty much across the board, but the insurance, you have many different factors that are going to play into what you pay for car and home insurance, credit score being one of them. Yeah. So it's not the only thing, it's many things, but it still does make a big impact. And if you can really just make a couple little adjustments, it could just be changing the day that you pay your credit card off every month so that it actually gets reported that you paid it off or paid it down. Making that one small little adjustment you could see your score jump up, 100 points in 30 days. That then gives you the ability to either get cheaper car insurance, home insurance, maybe get a cheaper installment loan to pay off a higher interest rate loan or higher interest rate credit cards. It's all about kind of using what you have to make that credit score work for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the main reason we brought you on the show today was to kind of talk about the impact that the virus, COVID, and the situation is really having on people. I think in our business, because we talked about mortgages and home loans offline off of here. what areas are you seeing like credit being impacted by some of the decisions that people are making? I mean, is there things that people could avoid or
Yeah.
that they should avoid when they're in the act of desperation,
Yeah. Big subject today too.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Because last night it was the first time that I had pulled up somebody's credit report and saw that their mortgage, it had this notation, not that they were late, but that actually just a notation that said account in forbearance. And the big thing is that if you have the ability, if you have a federally backed mortgage, which is 98% of the people out there that have mortgages, they're probably going to be federally backed. You have this right per the CARES Act to be able to call your lender and say, I due to this hardship, I can, I want to get a 6-month forbearance or whatever the case. Now, this would not affect your credit score during that time frame. However, I knew that it wasn't going to impact the credit score as far as showing a 30-day late, but they're still not going, they're going to have to test for what happened that month. So if it's not a late, they can't say that you made the payment, you didn't. So there's got to be some sort of notation. And the reason why that's important is because you've got a credit score and you've got a credit report, and they're very different. And when you go to buy a house, your score gets you in the door. Okay, your score is the qualifying, like walk in the gate, and then we're going to use that score to figure out your interest rate, your mortgage insurance. It's all kind of tied all the way through the actual, payment. But that credit score could be a big deal I lost my train of thought. Dang it. That's what happens.
No, we do that all the time.
The payment, and see, it's like the worst boyfriend ever, because I'm going to say, what was I talking about? And you're going to go, huh? You're pretty. Dang it, the principal, interest, taxes, insurance on the payment. If you don't, the thing is that if you don't make those payments, it's okay. You won't get a hit on your credit report with the score, but that doesn't mean the notation won't be there. So let's just say that you decided to take upon this forbearance because you thought it would be a better deal for you and your family. And you said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get my house ready to go and get it listed so that after this forbearance is over, we can sell the home and we'll get into something smaller. Well, when you go to get that new loan for the new house, or let's say you want to refinance the one you're in right now take advantage of great interest rates, then it's going to have to go sit in front of an underwriter for the new loan you're getting, and they're going to see that notation. And the automated underwriting systems that are, approve somebody for a mortgage, they don't read scores. They read the report. They read the report and the content of the report and the notation. So will they say anybody that was in forbearance, there's going to be a waiting period of a year, of 2 years before you can obtain a new mortgage? This is all brand new, but if that is the case, what will that do? Will that slow people down?
Well, and would that be an explainable event though? Because there are situations where people are on the line of getting approved.
It's not about explainable to the company that gave you the money. Yeah. And you're asking for permission to hold off. It's different than you asking a brand new person for money. You're getting a brand new loan to pay off a refinance to pay off your old loan. Then that means you're qualifying for new underwriting guidelines. So you explaining to them, yeah, but this was a COVID event, that's fine. But will the investors who are eventually going to buy this loan, if they have a guideline saying, we don't want anybody who had a note saying our account was in forbearance, because those are likely not going to be profitable for us. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, when they start going, anybody with this note, they can't be packaged in a typical MBS like pool. You know what I mean? Like they got to be like they got to be, otherwise they're kind of, you know what I'm saying? Just like going back to the crisis, they're like on a different grade. Because these people, it's a higher risk because they had a forbearance and this person didn't have a forbearance. There's no risk level. Anyways, I'm saying it's not logic. It's not just going to an underwriter and saying, yeah, but look, they lost their job. It's not that. It's about the eventually who buys that loan.
Yeah.
They're the ones with the gold make the rules. That's what it comes down to. So it's whether or not they want to take on a new person who has a history of going into forbearance with the last lender. Does that new lender want to take on that risk?
So it's, I guess, needless to say, at the end of the day, be very conscientious about and ask those particular questions, because I think a lot of people, like we said, are just in a very sensitive, heightened state of awareness. And they'll look for anything that's quick and easy. They'll get them out of the situation today. But there also is a back end of things. And I think that's something to be very conscientious about. Because I didn't know, I mean, not thinking about it, I didn't know there was a credit report versus a credit score.
Yeah, totally different. Like, I always thought scores were brought into the automated like underwriting system for mortgages, but it's weird. The desktop underwriter risk assessment reads the content of the report. That's why I know they're not going to just overnight change the credit score model that's used for a mortgage to being one that consumers see, because then they'd have to go into the actual automated underwriting system and change all the coding that goes. Anyway, I'm getting totally nerdy on you. I can see Robert's face like, I don't want to talk about the DU system anymore. Nobody does. But I'm saying it's a whole different internal system. That whole automated system would have to be changed completely.
No, and so again, something to be very conscientious about. So we're at the 118 mark, so we're going to take a small break here and talk about our sponsors. We have, I want to thank our sponsors out today. Our CEO Network sponsors DSODIA, Gabby Chaidez. She's the one that set up this interview today. Great American Title. They've been a long-term sponsor, as well as Workuti, our home away from home. Dan Kite, he's the CEO of Workuti, and he's offered to our members a discount rate for a shared office space, and that's at the Biltmore area. So if you want to IM me or IM us regarding shared office space, because we're coming back to work. Right now we're slated for May 15th, but people got to go back to work. If you want to IM me, we can set you up with that. But keep those hearts coming, keep those wows coming, keep those little care emojis coming, because we love it when you like what we're doing. So Miss Alisa Glutz, hello.
Yay.
And you are with Alisa Glutz from Color My Credit. She also is the founder of Claxxy Women's Group. I always say it backward. And a very special friend of mine, and she's been a friend for a long time. So talking about credit, getting back into it. So the credit model, is there things that people can do right now to kind of protect themselves during this crisis? What would you recommend, people kind of do, or at least avoid doing?
Right. So a couple of things. One, that annualcreditreport.com is usually a website, the one site that you can go and get one free credit report from each of the credit bureaus once every 12 months. They just recently announced they're opening up that to you free weekly. This will be the first time in history. Okay. I get excited about this. This is like Pearl Jam coming in concert. I'm like, what? We get access to our credit. But anyway, you get to see all three of the content of the report, the stuff that's making up your score. You get to see what's in the recipe, right? And you get a free access weekly because of COVID-19 to kind of be able to monitor your credit. But this is your time to color your report. You can get in there, and really the whole idea of coloring it is break down this very complicated, overwhelming document where probably 90% of it is stuff you don't need to focus on, but we tend to get distracted and focus on it. So I do suggest you get into the motion of weekly looking at your annual credit report. Also making sure that you're looking ahead, that if your credit score is in good shape right now, but your limits on your credit cards versus each individual balance that you owe is getting kind of, it's getting maybe closer to 50%, 60% of each individual card availability. It might not be a bad time to call and see if they'll let you increase the limit, not to use more of the credit card, but for you to have more available on the credit card, which is what lowers your credit utilization and makes up like half your credit score. So just asking them to increase the limit is almost like the same thing as paying it down. I know a lot of people are hanging on to their money. They're putting their money in savings and kind of keeping these higher credit card balances because they're scared to pay them off. They want that, that money, including the fact that a lot of times in these times you see you pay your credit card down and all of a sudden drop the limit, which really is frustrating when you're trying to, grow, improve your credit utilization, and they're sitting there going, uh-oh, people are in stress, like, let's move the limit down. So it's you being kind of ahead of that. And you're being home right now. There's a great time to really go through the bank accounts line by line and really go, okay, who's been snaking me? Is it on my bank statement? Am I getting hit ever with an overdraft fee? Like, did I opt in for overdraft and then I set up a bank account to kind of be my backup, or even a credit card? And I'm thinking that I have that as my backup. But once you look a little closer, you realize that your bank charges you $10 every single time they have to move money from the savings account to the checking to cover you. Oh, okay. I thought it was free. And then before you know it, you're like, that's $60 that I can get back. It's about, right now is really about becoming CEO of your money and really being able to go, okay, how can I start making my money work for me? Because I'm tired of working for it. So I really do think this is a time that you could level up, in a whole nother way. Yeah. Even if you are losing your job, everything, there is a way. Sometimes coming down to zero, is a start, is the beginning of something that you can be more mindful of. We all get a little bit crazy when money's flowing in. We can get conditioned to not care if it's 50 cents more. It very easily get conditioned to increase, add on a tip at Starbucks every single time we get a cup of coffee because they give us the option to give them a tip. Well, of course you should tip them, but I'm just saying you're easily conditioning yourself for an extra $1 or $2 a day. Could you condition yourself $1 or $2 a day into your savings, and just an automatic $2 into your savings, $2 into your savings? It's not much. Wait till it adds up, and then you're like, okay. So those are the things. I mean, I feel like you really going down the list and kind of cleaning up your budget. Could I get cheaper insurance? Is it a good time to look around and get something in your budget for less?
Yeah, and I know you're always sending little ways to kind of save money and make money. You sent me this app, and I can't remember the name of it, not too long ago. Like, hey, yeah.
I was like, buy Abbott Labs, buy this stock. You'll get a free stock. I get a free stock. I know. I'm always
you're always very conscientious of that. But before we run completely out of time, I want to kind of go to Color My Credit. It's a proprietary system, right? It's your own system of coloring different items in your credit or credit score and improving
credit
some
report.
of those things. Credit report. Yeah. So do you want to explain a little bit more what the Color My Credit system is?
It's really taking the idea of Color My is really just breaking down a complicated subject, a financial subject, like, breaking it down and being able to teach it like you're a 4-year-old, it's really, but there's so many areas that are key to building a financial legacy that are very complicated and overwhelming for us. So the idea is you take your credit reports, you print all 3, and I have a color key in my book that really goes through and says, this is what you're looking for. If you see an account that's closed and it has a 0 balance and the date of last activity on that account shows more than 24 months ago, it's black. And so what they're doing is I'm just giving them some things to go look for to identify what color to color it. And then they're coloring it, right? And then when you go back to it, you end up taking, a good 150-page credit report, and it comes down to like maybe 2 or 3 pages. And those are the accounts that actually impact your credit score, because it's really the stuff in the last like 24 months reporting on your credit, not the whole report of 7 to 10 years. We got to dial in on just the accounts reporting in the last 24 months. And then we can get strategic and building basically an actionable checklist for you, rewriting the report in an actionable checklist for you to be able to go, with this account, this is what I got to do. With this account, this is what I got to do. And all of it is in the goal of maximizing your credit score.
And you systemize that with the colors, right? You said, so red, I guess, is being the most important.
Red is, no, green. Green is, you want 3 green accounts. That's kind of the magic ideal recipe for FICO. You want these 3 specific accounts, 2 revolving and 1 installment. So you get to color those accounts green once they're reporting the right way. But otherwise you're going through, and let's say you come across a credit card of yours that's a revolving account, and you're going to first look to see what's the limit, whatever the limit is, you drop the last digit. If the balance is more than that limit, the 10% limit, then you color it red. Like a red alert, you got to get that balance paid down to below 10% of the limit. So that becomes a red card, okay, red credit card. So I rewrite the report. That's how I teach people, is like rewriting this report. These are my credit cards. Yeah. These are my red cards right now. So they're most focused. Got to stop spending on them and got to get them paid down below 10%. These two are green because I use them every month and they report, you know, a zero balance and they're on time. Here's a yellow credit card because I haven't gone to Victoria's Secret in 2 years. They're still open. They're an open credit card, but I don't have any activity in the last 6 months on it. So I slowed down using it, yellow. Then you take those colors, you go over to the key and it'll tell you for red accounts, this is how you deal with it. Call and increase the credit limit, get the credit card paid off with an installment loan. Like I give you all the solutions based on that color so that then they can take it back and take those actions to those credit accounts.
So is this a good segue to show the book one more time? And where can they purchase? You got to hold it up the camera.
Color My Credit. It's on, and my website
get a little bit closer to
right now, but you can get it on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And then I have an online course. I'm on TikTok. I do put tons of free content on TikTok, probably 1,000 videos on there. I have a YouTube channel. You can get the online course at colormycredit.com.
So could they, do you want to, I didn't ask you this beforehand, but would you like to give away one of your books if somebody signs on, or at least somebody contacts you in some way for credit help or credit assistance?
Yeah.
If
you want to reach out, I can send you, I'll give like the first 5 people that reach out a free book today.
Yeah. Hold on. Where's my clapping thing? Hold on.
Robert's going to pay for him. All right.
Oh, oh, hold on. We got to come back. So the one of the remaining things that I kind of wanted to talk to you and share with our audience is this whole COVID thing has impacted us. And it's crazy how people have had to reinvent themselves or just are kind of stagnant, don't know what to do, and are trying to figure out ways to kind of get themselves out there, market themselves, and push themselves out there. You're a good testimony to doing that. If you don't mind, I'm going to share a little something that I pre-planned.
Okay.
Do you know this girl? Do you know her? So
this is my total piece 50 girl.
So can you hear that? So I didn't record. So I didn't record the whole thing, but I'll play it one more time so we can just kind of see. The cool thing that you're doing is you're on TikTok.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've all had to kind of reinvent ourselves, put ourselves out there. But if people notice at the bottom of their at Color My Credit, they can sign up and see your TikTok account. And there's like a number of TikToks in there. I think you post how many per day? Like
I have 1,000. I'm sure I have about 1,000. I really got going on it December 4th, but it's such a funny, it's a funny app, and it's definitely that outlet, right? But what I did was in December is I started putting up some of my credit education videos.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I do some of the funny stuff you see, or something that's just not related, kind of funny vibe or whatever. And then sometimes I put the credit stuff in. And the thing is people have said, you made me have to listen to something I don't want to listen to because, you're funny. Like you trick me because I think you're just going to be silly and funny. And then all of a sudden I've learned, darn it, I've learned. But like they, I'll do like, woo, something. Do you know what a charge off is? And so people are going,
I'm still working on my floss technique.
Yeah. But I do think it's needed. It's all the stuff we kind of like didn't learn in high school. I tend to be very attracted to like the stuff you wish you would have known. And it's such a great community on there. The best thing about TikTok is for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been on social media, on every Facebook, LinkedIn, everything, and tried to really engage. Some days I can really engage people in talking, but it's a very, very personal subject to begin with. The interesting thing about TikTok is that while there are many over 40, there's a lot of millennials as well. And what I noticed is the minute I started going on there and talking about this stuff, the comments are so kind of hidden and not the main thing when you're looking at TikTok, that it gives people the ability to be very anonymous. And so what I've seen is, I'll post something about credit card and I'll get 900 comments. And when I'm reading the comments for each person, they're all saying, I need help with this. I need help with this. And that's new for me, because I've not seen it in a public format where they're like, I'm willing to say, like, I need help too. And I knew they all needed help, but they weren't going to talk about it, but everybody that's on TikTok, especially in our age group, it's very private. Even when people do call me, I go, how did you find me on Instagram? They're like, TikTok. I'm like, it's okay. Out loud.
It's okay to admit.
They're a little embarrassed. It's a little bit, but it's just so funny because once you get on there, you realize like it's this massive community. There's no way in December to now to have, not 180,000 followers, 180,000. I mean, my little hashtag that I started at the beginning of the year, that's 2020 color my credit, which is the one, that's how I've kind of tagged my credit education videos. That was at 17 million views last night. And I thought, how else could I get out? I can't right now. I'm stuck in my house. But it's like, how can you really make that kind of an impact? And then just, it's just been great. It's been a total game changer for sure. And it just goes to show you can be speaking your passion and your heart with your business, and you can't figure out why you can't make a sale, or you can't figure out why you can't, you're not growing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just about like finding that value, that thing that is going to connect with somebody, and really knowing where your audience is. If I'm selling to all these people over here and they're like, we don't need any credit help, and then I turn this way and it's like me. I just need to go. You got to go find your me's. You got to go find them, because then once you find that group, you can cater to them. You can, I literally play to that girl who I know is watching, who I want to be my watcher, I guess. That sounds weird. But you know what I'm saying?
No. And the thing, again, I admire is that you really haven't gone, out of your norm, and you're just being you, but you're just being you on a video. And when you first started, you first started TikTok, it was just kind of like, oh, she's just being dorky, being, Alisa. And then in the heart of an entrepreneur, you've kind of made it in its own business. You're getting appointments, you're scheduling, in an offline conversation. We said, you're making money off of TikTok, which is amazing, because again, it just started off as something kind of quirky.
A good outlet for fun and to connect with my little girls,
Yeah. So as far as I've known you, I mean, you've exhibited that heart of an entrepreneur that just keeps going, and that passion just keeps going. And again, it hasn't deviated from what you've been doing since the very beginning, which is just helping people with credit. And now I see you doing TikToks for credit. And now I see you doing, TikToks with other people. You're bringing other people in. Like I saw Christina on there not too long ago. I'll give you $5 if you can get Elena on a TikTok.
I will get her there. Pat, you don't even want to talk about Pat.
But
savage.
But no, I just want to emphasize the fact that even in these forms of crisis, you can still find yourself in, I'm not saying people have time, but you're at home, and if you're in a state of like trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do, borrow the inspiration off of, somebody like Alisa. I mean, again, doing something as quirky and silly as that, and building an audience and kind of reinventing yourself and continuing forward. So,
Robert, what you said at the beginning of all this is like, I'm like, how's it going? And you're like, we had some mistakes last time, and we worked through that. And there's one thing I know, the ones that are actually out there just trying, okay, they're going to be further along than you, because they're trying, and they're going to make a mistake, and then they get a little better. And I see people all the time that say to me, like, how do you, like, I didn't like this video, or there was too much activity going on in this video, or there was this. And I said, I totally respect your decision, opinion, but also I don't give a whoa, because I'm an artist. And if I cared about your opinion, I couldn't be one. I just create, and I put it out, and I go back and create, and I put it out. And you cannot get caught up in anyone's opinion, good or bad. You just can't. We all know that. But same thing. You just have to keep working at it. And if you keep working at it, you're going to get better at it. And things will come together where you'll go, that's definitely not my voice, my niche. My voice is this, like my niche is this, but you don't know without doing. You got to do, and then you'll find it, you know?
Yeah. And the biggest takeaway, and before we kind of end our interview session, the biggest takeaway is from every small business and entrepreneur I come across, because our CEO network helps out a lot of people in just starting with their ideas. Just be yourself and pursue those things that you're afraid to do, and just try it once, because that first step will lead to the second step, and keep going on from there. So whatever it is in your heart to do, you should be there. You should be doing it. So just keep pursuing it and going for it. So like I said, we're coming towards the end. We're going to be doing a question and answer session for the last, looks like 20 minutes or so. So a quick plug for us at Our CEO Network. Find us here on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Our CEO Network, ourceonetwork.com. With Alisa, your website or any info, how can people get a hold of you too? Hold on, let me go back to
just colormycredit.com or Glutz Group. If you have mortgage questions, or you're looking to get a loan in Arizona or California, that's the states I'm licensed in. I'm working on some more states now, but Arizona and California, those are my hood.
So is there, I noticed that on the TikTok, it's at Color My Credit.
That's my handle or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I try to speak the lingo.
I still haven't gone on TikTok yet, so I'm still trying to figure out my interesting parts to.
Well, and you know what? So many people I know say, I'm not going to get on there. I don't dance. And I go, no. Look, I don't follow the TikTok path either. I'm sure there are people that see mine and go, there were a couple in the beginning that were like,
what are you doing?
What did I just watch? Like, what are you talking about? But you have to own you. That's the only thing that's going to be sustainable is you. If you go out there and try to put on a show and you're selling, hardware, I don't know where that came out of, but you're selling something, like unless it's really authentically you and your personality and then it's not going to be something you can maintain doing daily, every day of your life. And that's the life of an entrepreneur. You better love it.
Just keep going at it. So,
you better keep going.
So Violet's back there. She's going to be posting any kind of questions. I do have some offline questions for you. If you hang in there till the end, we're going to be giving some Color My Credit books away to learn more about your credit and how to manage your credit score and all the other good things about Color My Credit. Let me pick a good one. Let's see. Albert from Phoenix. Does getting married affect my credit?
Oh, I love that one. I know.
Oh, you do?
I always make jokes about it's not contagious. Yeah, sorry, your credit's not contagious. No, but here is the part of it, though. You have to think about whether or not you're in a community property state, okay? Because if you are married and you obtain a debt together, even if they're not on that loan with you when you apply for it and obtain it in a community property state, it's a debt you got together. And so you could be on the hook for it if you got divorced from the guy, later.
Why is it always gonna be the guy?
Yeah. I know. I'm always like, listen, ladies. No. I had a guy this morning say to me, look, men need empowerment too. I'm not kidding. He said, I'm just here because I know you talk about women a lot, but men need empowerment too. I said, oh, I know, honey. Don't worry.
And offline, I mean, me and Alisa have talked about relationships and stuff in the past. And so my three takeaways for relationships are they gotta, if you're in the dating realm, they gotta have good teeth, personal hygiene. They gotta have a clean house that talks about mental health, and they have a good credit score. Those are the three criteria, right?
It tells you like a lot more about them, right?
Well, you hope so.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, if I had a requirement as a guy, like for dating, of a guy having a good credit score, well, I'd actually be doing what I do now, which is don't date at all. So anyway.
Avoid the dating. Don't get married. So yeah. Tell Albert, don't get married.
Albert, don't get married. But the one thing I want to remember about the marriage thing, about the way it is you have your credit report tied to your social security number. Yeah. Like it's your report. It doesn't blend with anybody. If you get married, the one thing that happens is if you and your wife open a credit card together, or buy a house together, or get a car loan together, you're both on the loan and you're both obligated, then it goes on both of your credit reports. if that account goes late, it impacts both of your scores. However, if you have like a credit card that's like and you add your wife as an authorized user on, okay, then at any point she can take herself off, or you can take her off of it. You don't even have to give her a card, but it's going to show up on her credit report.
Yeah.
It's much different than a joint debt holder where you both took out the loan together, and the only way to close it is to pay it off and close it, versus just removing yourself from the account and the husband goes on his way and she walks away. So think about that piece of it is instead of joint debt holder positions that you guys think about, maybe authorized user could be easier to split when you divorce. No, I'm just kidding. That's a very, hey, let's talk about your pre-counseling and your marriage. Nothing joint. No, but I do think you have to be, you still should be conscious of what is in the past of the person you're getting married. If you're getting married to somebody and you've never seen their credit report, I'm just telling you, as your mother, as your make-believe mother, don't do it. Get that credit report pulled. Let's open up and talk about it, kids, because it's better off to know now than to find out later when you're 6 months in, because you loved him or you loved her, that it was a mess that actually, might not have directly impact your credit or your money, but it could, hurt your well-being and lifestyle on the daily. If you've got, servers or creditors knocking on the door and saying, "Where's Julie?" That could bother you.
Yeah, I wonder if that should be one of those requirements, before you go on and do that thing at the courthouse. You bring your credit reports and have that discussion before you.
They are too scared that people would say, "Can you explain this to me?" And everybody would go, "No." No training ever on this. Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty attractive, but you have less than a 600, so.
No. I've left some good guys 500 to 720 in our time that we dated, and then we broke up, and I sent them off into the world. I'm like, "You're welcome. I don't want you, but hello, here you go." At least my parting gift with them is here's a good credit score. Now you're better off. I don't want you. Good luck.
So I got a question from Renee from Chandler. I am taking cash advances to make my mortgage payment and some other credit cards. Is that a good idea? Cash. It sounds like cash advancements on her credit card.
No.
Simple answer.
It's just because you're getting, charged the maximum interest rate on those cash advances. And that's not good. As you increase every month, you're relying on your credit card, it's increasing the amount your balance is. And then, in relation to the limit, as it's getting closer to that limit, then you're seeing your credit score drop. It's kind of like this butterfly effect, then other cards start breaking out and they start dropping their limit, to an extent, you have to be careful on that. I guess it's better than you not making a mortgage payment.
Yeah. Well, and
that's all you got, but there's other options. Look and at least Google peer-to-peer lending. There are hundreds and hundreds of places you can go. This is just like Robert has 150,000 and he's lending it out to people. And I go on there and say, I'm this age and I'm this and this, and I need 10,000 and I'll pay it back over 5 years and I'll pay you 8%, Robert. And Robert goes, "Okay." And he looks at this board and says, "I'll lend you the money." Honestly, that is what is going on. That's Lending Club. That's payoff.com. All those companies are peer-to-peer lending. And those are installment loans. Those don't impact your credit score like a credit card does. So if you go take a lump sum out and pay your credit card off now, okay, you'll have a 3 or a 5 year fixed loan with one of those other banks, and it won't be impacting your credit score while you're paying that down.
Yeah. And so I guess from my layman kind of experience, you shouldn't necessarily take on higher interest rates, right? Especially if your mortgage is a lower rate. Is that kind of,
taking on higher interest rates on installment loans?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You always don't look, you want to make sure that you don't look at just the interest rate ever. You want to look at a term. For example, let's say that you have an interest rate of 19% on your credit card and you owe 10,000. Okay. versus an installment loan. Maybe they come back to you and say, we'll give you a 22% interest rate. And you're like, no, I have a 19%. And my minimum payment over here is this much. Well, on the installment loan, that payment and that interest rate and everything is based on a 3 or a 5 year term. So you're not renting your debt. You're actually one step closer to paying it off. So when you look at the end of the time frame of you paying off this debt with a credit card or with this installment loan, the amount of interest you pay over that amount of time will be less with the installment loan, because if you make just the minimum payments on the credit cards that are factored into like by 1 or 2% of your balance, it might not even be paying the minimum interest owed on that credit card. So every month that you don't make, if you make that minimum payment and it's not even covering the interest on what you owe, it tacks on to what you owe on the credit card. You literally are throwing it in the air and you never are paying it down. So let's say they had a lower interest rate on the credit card, but it took them 10 years to pay it off. Then they paid this amount of interest. Over here, much higher interest rate, but only a 3-year loan, much less interest. So it's not about the actual percentage of interest. It's the how long are you going to pay that interest for?
Oh, I see. Okay. Henry from Phoenix, let's see, what is the ideal number of credit cards to have?
Ideally, really 2 to 3 maximum. So 2 that have, and what I mean by 2 really is if you have more than that, don't go just down the list and start closing cards. There's a strategy to it. But to know the day that your credit card company reports your balance and to set it up to where on that day, all of your credit cards report a 0 balance, except for the 2 you've had opened the longest. And those 2, ideally you have about a $20 balance reporting. And that's how much they report regardless of your limit. If you're trying to go to the 800 club, that's what your goal needs to be, is 2 open credit cards that have about a $20 balance reporting every month, regardless of the limit.
Got another one. Let's see, Susan from Mesa. What are the best ways to increase my credit score quickly?
Quickly is to focus on if you are under 600 and you've been like, how do I get into the 600s? Like, how do I get over here? It's likely because you don't even have an open credit card reporting. Most of the time when people are ready to take on their credit, they're ready to, get it going. They're focused on the repair, the fix, the looking at the credit report and saying, what do I got to pay to get this better? And that's not the approach you want to do. That'll slow you down. You need to actually look at the report and say, do I have an open credit card? Number 1, before you look at one thing to fix on that credit, do I have an open available credit card? A card that if I wanted to, I could go out tomorrow and I could charge something on it, $20, not a prepaid card. It could be secured or unsecured, but do you have one? And most of the time people go, no, I can't get approved for a credit card. Right. And that's why I tell you, go to openskycc.com. This is a credit card, no credit check. You're going to get approved. Believe me, I don't want you to be denied in life. I promise you. I'm going to give you a place where you're going to get approved. And it's no credit check, and they don't even check to see if you have a bank account. But you put up the $200, so you're investing in yourself. You'll get it back eventually if you close that card, but you put the $200 up. The credit card comes in the mail. OpenSky always reports your balance about 5 or 6 days after your due date every month. So you make sure the balance is 0, and then the day after the due date, you charge $20. You let them report to the credit bureaus that you used $20 out of 200, which is the perfect amount. And then about a few days later, you pay it to 0. And then the next month you do it again. You don't use that credit card for any other reason, but to work for you, to charge one $20 item a few days before they report, and you pay it to 0. And I'm just telling you that put it to work, and you will see the magic and what happens to your credit score.
Yeah. And I guess, what is an ideal credit score? I mean,
really you want to shoot for 800, but it depends on the score you're looking at. We've got 50 different credit scores out there, but you really want to shoot, I always tell everybody on TikTok, we're shooting for the 800 club here.
Well, cause like in my personal experience, again, my credit score on like my credit card is showing like 800 and something. And then I have a free Experian account that I kind of watch my stuff, and that's showing like a 719. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference, or why is there such a difference in the scores?
Huge different recipe. You're talking like you're looking at if I said to you, the score was 14-9,
Yeah.
you would for sure would say, like, I need more. What sport? What team? What year? Right? Same thing with a credit score. You can't just say to me, my credit score is 719. I'd say, what bureau? What model? What version?
Yeah.
Because, and tomorrow that'll be different. It's a snapshot in time, and it changes on a dime. But you've got to look at any score that's ever given to you. You have to look deep in and go, okay, this is a TransUnion Vantage score. Oh, this isn't even FICO. Okay, the main two recipes are going to be Vantage score and FICO. But even with FICO, many versions of FICO. So a lot of the stuff consumers see is like a FICO 08 or FICO 9 model. When you go in to get a mortgage, there's nowhere a consumer on the internet, can get a free mortgage score. You got to come to a mortgage lender. So, and the recipe is just very different. This means more to this number, to this specific score model than the other one. And they're very, there's no like minus 100 here, add 100 here. It's a totally different recipe.
Huh. Okay. Let's see. Mia from Scottsdale. Do employees look at my credit score?
Not your score, report. Again, coming back to that, like there's a big difference between the score and the report. You can get free credit reports at annual credit report. Your employer has access to being able to see your credit report, but they don't see scores. Okay. So you can't just look at a number and know. You've got to know the content of what is going into all these different score algorithms. So the report's the most important. And yes, employers can see your report. And that's why it's key, to know what's on there and actually what's being reported. There is a chance that something's being reported that's not correct. And unless you say that's not correct, no one's going to help that. No one's going to take care of it.
And I will say doing property management too, to kind of, I guess, finish off the question. I look at history, not just score. Score does give an indicator, but the history of payments, are they making payments on time? And I did have somebody looking at renting a house, and they made a large amount of income. They made nearly $200,000 a year, but they had a really low score, and you look at their report, and there's a lot of debts on there, but they're making the payments on time. I don't think I saw one late payment. They're high balances, high payments. It was crazy, but she still was able to rent the home because she was paying stuff on time, even with a lower score. So
well, that's a perfect example though, Robert. Like if you were going to rent a home to somebody, if I showed up at your door and I said, can I have 100,000? And you didn't know me. Okay. And it wasn't this beautiful. Okay. Let's just say that I said, can I have 100,000? You're supposed to smile at that, by the way. And you said, okay. Do you have any friends I can call and ask, have you done this before? Right? That's mentally, before you're going to, even if you have the money to give, you want something, some security. And so I'm saying, when you look at this credit report, okay, even without the score, my eyes naturally, I'm sure yours do, go to the most recent, like couple years of their life. And really that is what the score is made up of. But when you look at this whole report, sometimes people that are trying to improve their credit, they go to page like 50, the last page, and go, what is this one account that's closed in 2015? This is what's hurting my credit. I'm like, no. You're not making any payments right now. That's what's hurting your credit right now. It's not the inquiry from 2006. It's what you're doing today and what you did yesterday. So the point is really, really concentrate on the last 2 years of your life, knowing even if you've messed up everything the last 2 years of your life, today is a new day. And walking forward, literally today you could be at a 300, and in 2 years or sooner, you could be an 800. Realistically, you could be an 800 if you just walk the path. So that's kind of neat.
No, that's awesome. So we've come to the end of our session with you, Miss Alisa Glutz. So I do want to do a shout out for us one more time, our CEO Network. Find us here on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at ourceonetwork.com. Miss Glutz, is there anything you want to, share? How do we connect with you? How do we get a hold of you?
Oh, you can friend me on social media and stuff, but Glutz Group at CCMC Lending is probably going to be the fastest way to send me a quick email. Go to glutzgroup.com. You'll have all my contact information. But for yourself, make sure, people have heard me say it before, but they don't want to go through the steps, and there's not much steps to it, and you have some time. Go to missingmoney.com. Okay, then do that today. Just put your first and last name, put your mom and dad's first and last name, your brother, sister, friends, and just see if there's any unclaimed property they have out there. They couldn't deliver to them. It's legit. Go get your money.
And that's not a website you're affiliated with. You're just trying to help people.
Nope, just trying to help. Like, hey, here's a possible little treasure for you to go find.
Well, I'll do one quick plug for you too. Add Color My Credit on TikTok. You know, again, you have how many subscribers? How many followers?
180,000. Going for Charlie's. Yeah, you don't know who Charlie is. You don't know.
I don't know who Charlie is.
He's a real popular. Yeah.
And so to go over, since you made it to the end, if you're here with us, we're giving away how many Color My Credit books? Five Color My Credit. And how should we set that up?
Let's just pick. Why don't we pick the people that ask the questions, or I don't know, you can kind of pick random on anybody who maybe commented on the post.
So whoever makes a comment who says they want a book, they also have to follow you too. They also have to show
follow me. You have to love me forever. And then I'll send you, and then I'll get your information. You can tell me who the first 5 are, and then we'll get their address and get them mailed out a book.
So if you go to Color My Credit or one of the venues, either Facebook, do a screenshot that you've signed on with Alisa, and you're the first of 5, we will get you a free book out your way. So again, I want to thank Miss Alisa Glutz for her time. It's the end of our hour. From Claxxy Women's Group, Color My Credit, Cherry Creek Mortgage. Thank you very much, Miss Alisa. We will catch you soon, I hope.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.